One night, 2 heartbeats. Sophie Spencer thought she had it all figured out, a steady job, a loyal best friend, and a loving fiancé. But her world shatters when her fiancé coldly ends their engagement, revealing he found someone else. Reeling from heartbreak, Sophie seeks escape in a night out, and ends up in the arms of Liam Whitmore, a wealthy, elusive businessman known for his charm and his vow never to fall in love. One night. One mistake. One heartbeat that changes everything. When Sophie discovers she's pregnant, she's forced to confront the arrogant man she barely knows, only to find him emotionally unavailable and unwilling to take responsibility. But Liam's world is turned upside down as he slowly realizes the depth of what he's about to lose. As secrets unravel, tensions rise, and unexpected bonds form, Sophie must decide if she's ready to let someone new in, someone who once walked away but might now be the only one fighting to stay. Can love grow from chaos? Or is Sophie destined to face motherhood alone? From Sophie's point of view, not an issue. After Ali, my soul friend and the owner of the restaurant where I work, informed me she couldn't come today and left the restaurant in my care, I texted her back. I was still in bed and preparing to get up when I texted my fiancé. Ryan, we have to call off our date tonight. Because Ali isn't coming, I won't be able to get free early. I put the phone down on the bed and waited for him to call back. We had to cancel 6 dates in the last 2 weeks. It's not just because of me, it's also because of him. Sometimes I'm busy, and sometimes he is. I picked up my phone when it buzzed. It's fine. I also have a lot to do tonight. He answered. Okay. I answered before I got up. I looked down at the simple gold band on my ring finger with the little diamond on it and smiled. I wonder what my life would be like with Ryan as my husband. Will we be able to make time for each other even though we're busy? I can worry about it all later because we still have a few months till we are married. I need to go to the restaurant right now. I took a big breath and walked into the restaurant after looking at the sign. The saffron. I said hello to everyone and told them that I would be in charge today because Ali wasn't coming. One of my co-workers asked me, "How's everything?" While I washed my hands, I grinned. "Everything's good, Lila. What about you?" She let out a sorrowful sigh. "Not much. In my dream, I went on a romantic date with Liam Whitmore." I shook my head and laughed. "You and your Liam Whitmore obsession. Come on. He's so hot. I'd give my life for him." I put the apron on my waist. Yeah, of course. But I keep telling you that he doesn't date. He never did." She made a face. "Don't say that. He might do it one day. Why don't you ask Ali to set up a meeting for you with him since he is her brother-in-law?" "You're right, but I don't know. I'll ask her when she gets here." I hummed and got the plates ready. Customers started to arrive as time went on. While I was making the curry, one of our waitresses came in and said, "There's someone out there to meet you." My eyebrows came together. "Who?" She shrugged. "I don't know. He didn't say his name. He just asked for you. He's at table number 5. "Oh, okay," I responded as I went by her to go. She remarked, "A bit handsome fellow," and winked. I laughed at her. All of my coworkers are nuts. I moved out and headed to table number 5, but when I saw the person seated there, my movements slowed, and my face turned pale. The person I hated the most was sitting there in black trousers, a white t-shirt, and a jacket. He grinned when he spotted me and waved softly with his hand as if we were old friends reconnecting after years apart. I sat across from him, gritting my teeth. He looked me up and down. He licked his lips. "You've gotten more beautiful over the years, haven't you?" I remarked coldly. "What do you want, Blake?" "I see, you are still mad." I got up and left. "I can't handle him." "Wait, Sophie." He stopped me. "Please, just 5 minutes. I need to talk to you." I rolled my eyes and sat back down. "Only 5 minutes? Your time starts now." "Hey, I've been looking for you for a long time, and now I've finally found you. How did you get to me?" "Your friend Allie is pretty famous right now. I saw your picture with her on Instagram. And by the way, I even have sources now," he said. "What do you want now?" "You." I gave him a dirty look. "Not going to happen. I'm already engaged, and even if I weren't, I would never be with you." He put his hand over his heart in a dramatic way. "Ouch." I rolled my eyes, and he replied, "Sophie, I started my own business. I'm rich. I lost it." "Do you think I care how rich you are?" "Then what?" "Go away, Blake." He took my hand. "Are you still mad at me for that?" I pulled my hand out of his clutches. "Don't touch me, and yes, I'm still mad at you and will be forever." I looked at his hands on the table, and they were trembling, like really. I had to ask. "Why are your hands shaking?" He stared at his hands for a second and added, "I have a nerve problem. Sometimes, they shake on their own." I hummed back. He let out a sigh and said, "Look, it's been 8 years, and it was a mistake. That you didn't regret. But I feel bad now. It's over, Blake. I don't care if you regret it or not, the damage is done. I want to make it up to you for that. I'm sorry for what I did." I stood up furiously and went to go, but he jumped up and grabbed my wrist. "Pay attention to me, Sophie." Other customers noticed us, and all turned to stare at us. I once again pulled my hand away from his clutches and glared at him. I clenched my teeth and whispered softly, "Blake, don't make a scene here. Please leave." He was about to say something, but I stopped him. "No. The talk is over. Now leave me alone." I turned around right away and headed back inside, disregarding the looks I was getting from the customers. I put my hand on my forehead and leaned my back against the wall once I was inside. What the heck does he want after all these years? A few hours later, Lila came racing in. Her face was pallid, and her eyes were as wide as they could be. I asked in a funny way, "What happened to you?" She opened and closed her lips, but she couldn't say anything. That made me a little nervous, so I moved closer to her and grasped her forearm. "What's the matter?" She pointed to the entrance that led to the restaurant. "Lilium." That simply made me more confused. "What?" Then she screamed, which scared me. Liam Whitmore is out there. Oh, really? He wants to see Ally. Did you tell him she's not here? She grinned shyly. No. I was too shocked to say anything. I hit myself in the face. You've got to be kidding me. She stood up for herself. I can't help it. He looks so hot, handsome. When he asked me about Ally, I almost passed out, so I ran back inside. I grumbled, and she pushed me towards the door. Please go and tell him Ally isn't here. I was going to say anything, but she pushed me ahead, and before I knew it, I was out of the kitchen. He was standing next to the booth that was closest to the kitchen. I almost ran into him if he hadn't grabbed my hand. Be careful there, he cautioned quietly. I looked up at him and laughed shyly, and my breath caught. Right now, he looks really gorgeous. He wore navy blue trousers and a white shirt with the sleeves pulled up to the elbow and his muscles sticking out. His navy blue coat hung over his forearm. His thick beard was cut down to stubble, and his hair and a pair of beautiful glasses finished off the image. He cleared his throat, which brought me out of my stupor. I saw I was still holding onto his arm, so I stepped back right away. I said, "Hi." "Hi," he said, and then it seemed like he was studying my face. "Is it Sophie?" "Yes." He looked behind me towards the kitchen door and added, "I really wanted to meet Ally." "Oh, she didn't come today." His lips made an O. "Is there anything else you want, Mr. Whitmore?" "Oh, please call me Liam," I said, "and no, I don't want anything else." "Okay, Liam," he said, "there's something in your hair, Sophie," and then asked if he might take it out. "Can I?" I nodded. He ran his fingers through my hair and then snapped his fingers. When he pulled his hand back, he had a little red rose between his fingers. "What the?" He held out the rose and said, "For you." I was surprised and exclaimed, "How did you do that?" as I took the rose. "I know a few tricks, Sophie," he said with a cheeky smirk. "He's perfect. I suppose I'm going to pass out, too." I spun the rose around in my hands and whispered, My coworker really likes you, chap. Would you mind meeting her?" He smiled. "Of course." I smiled and stepped inside. Lila was leaning against the door and trying to hear what we were saying. "This is your chance, Lila." I took her hand and pulled her out. "What if?" She couldn't finish her sentence when she saw Liam. He smiled at her in a way that took her breath away. "Hi," she said in a high-pitched voice. "Oh my God! Hello!" Thank God there weren't any customers in the restaurant at the time. "What's your name, miss?" He reached out his hand for a shake. She shook his hand slowly. "Lila." "Lila," he said, "that's a nice name." She blushed and stuttered. "Thanks. I would have loved to talk to you more, but I have to go to work," he added with a shy smile. "It's okay," she said quietly. He moved in closer and kissed her cheek, which surprised both of us. "Bye," he said as he walked away. Lila's jaw fell, and she cautiously raised her hand to touch her face where he had kissed her. I caught her arm just before she fell. "He kissed me," she said in a low voice. And then she screamed. I rolled my eyes and said, "He kissed me." "Yes, I saw that. But he didn't kiss mine." "For God's sake, you have a fiancé." "Yeah, right." She was so happy that she was bouncing about, but then she remembered something and stopped and hid her face. "I am so dumb," she remarked. "What happened?" "I didn't get a picture with him." "How can I forget it?" "Next time, you can have it." "Next time?" "Yeah. Don't forget that he is still Ali's brother-in-law," I told her, and she smiled big. And for the rest of the day, she kept saying how hot he looked, which drove me crazy. I have to agree with it. I smiled when I gazed down at the rose in my palm. "Sophie's point of view," Ali remarked to Lila in a nice way, "I'll see what I can do about it. He's a workaholic, he never stops working." "Yes," Lila remarked as she washed the dishes. "I've read that he's a workaholic." Ali and I hummed back. "Blake is back," I said softly as Ali stirred the sauce next to me. She hesitated for a second, then turned to me and said, "What?" I let out a sigh. "He came to see me yesterday, here in the restaurant." She gasped. "How did he get to you?" I told her how he found me, and I even repeated what he said. He even told her everything else he had said. She softly put her hand on my cheek. "Are you okay?" I grinned. "Yes, I'm fine. I won't let him get to me." She touched my cheek. "That's the way to do it." I laughed quietly, and then my phone rang, which broke off our talk. I pulled my phone out of my handbag, which was on a nearby counter, and grinned when I saw Ryan's name on the caller ID. "Hi," I said to him. He spoke back in a dry voice, "Hey. Can we get together tonight?" "A date?" Not really. I just need to talk to you." "Is everything okay?" He laughed uncomfortably. "Yes, of course. As you say." "So, where are we meeting?" He seemed like he was in a rush when he said, "I'll text you the time and place." "Okay. Bye." He whispered bye and hung up the phone. Strange. I walked back to the stove and kept working on the bread. "Can I go home early today?" I asked Ali. She moved her eyebrows. "A date?" I let out a sigh and a laugh at the same moment. "No. He just needs to say something." "Okay. You can go early." "Thanks," I said quietly. Ryan told me to meet him in the Maple Bean Cafe, so I went inside. I saw him seated at a table in the corner and smiling, so I went up to him. An oval face, light blonde hair, and a light beard. A white shirt with flowers on it and blue pants. He looked nice. I sat down across from him, leaned over, and kissed his lips, but his eyes told me he didn't enjoy it. "So," I said. "What do you want to talk about?" My hands were on the table, and he kept looking at my left hand, where the engagement ring was. "Ryan," I yelled. "What happened?" At that moment, a server came up to us, and Ryan anxiously said, "Coffee." I nodded, and he ordered for us. I said right away as the waiter left. "You look nervous." He cleared his throat. "Look. I don't think the marriage can does this happen this early. I cut him off. It's fine if you're busy. We can wait a few more months. He let out a sigh. No. What I mean is. I understand. We don't have enough money for all the planning. That's fine. I don't want a big wedding with a lot of guests. At that time, the waiter came back with our coffees, set them down, and left. Ryan's jaw got tight. I can't marry you, Sophie. Not now, not ever. We just can't. My voice got quite quiet. Why? He wouldn't look me in the eye. I think we should end this engagement and whatever else we had going on. My lips opened a little. What? I'm breaking things off. We're done. I leaned in closer, my eyes got bigger, and my jaw fell. We're engaged, Ryan. You asked me to marry you. What happened next? He didn't say anything and looked down. I figured something out. Did you find someone else to take my place? He tightened his fists and didn't speak. My voice broke. Why, you found someone else, didn't you? He raised his head. I can explain. What do you mean? How long has this been going on? He stroked his beard. A month. I started to cry. You've been lying to me the whole time. You're a liar. I thought you loved me. I even loved you back. I did love you, Sophie, but things changed. Someone else came into your life, and now you don't love me anymore. He tapped his finger on his forehead. Kind of. I hit the table with my fist. Unbelievable. He muttered, I'm sorry. I laughed without any humor. Sorry? Do you think that will change the fact that you cheated on me? A tear fell from my eye. I loved you, but right now, I hate you. I wiped away the tear with the back of my hand. He really looked guilty, but I didn't believe him. I remarked in a mocking tone, who's the lucky girl, by the way? I asked him again when he didn't answer. Who's she? She started working in our office a month and a half ago. I met her then. I scoffed, stood up, and angrily took the ring off my finger and hurled it at him. I hope you both have a great future together. He yelled for me when I turned around and walked towards the door, but I ignored him and hurried out the door, quickly wiping away the tears that were streaming down my face. I had stopped sobbing. I won't cry for that jerk. I am delighted I finally saw his genuine face. I thought he loved me, and I loved him back. That's all there is. Not anymore. I chose one of the nicest dresses from my collection, but I never got to wear it. It was silver with sparkles all over it and had a deep plunging neck. It went all the way to my mid-thighs. I let my hair down over my shoulder and grabbed my purse. Then I dialed for a cab. Let's get this party started. The lights were low, the music was blaring from the speakers, and everyone in the club was dancing like mad. That is exactly what I need tonight. I got up from my seat at the bar and ordered a martini. After drinking a couple of glasses of alcohol, I went to the dance floor and swayed my hips while dancing alone, without caring about anything. I danced with a stranger for a while. I don't know who he was, but I kissed his cheek and then exited the dance floor. I need another drink, I remarked to no one and went back to the bar. When I bumped against someone's chest, I felt a little woozy. The hit made me stagger back, and the person's hand on my forearm forced me to stand up straight. "You're always bumping into me," the individual said with a laugh. I finally spotted him as I raised my head. "Liam." He had a little smile on his face as he looked me over from head to toe. He had on a basic black shirt with the sleeves pushed up to his elbows, a pair of black pants, and no glasses. Always looking hot. I took a big breath and moved back, and he said hello. "Hello, Sophie." I bit my lips, and for a moment, his eyes moved over them. "Hey." He looked behind me and said, "All alone," while putting his hands in his pants pockets. I pushed a piece of hair behind my ear because his focused look made me anxious. "Yes." He grinned and made an offer. "Want to get some drinks?" I smiled back at him. "Of course." I followed him to the bar, marveling at his back and the way his big shoulders moved as he walked. I can't blame myself for looking at him because I'm about to receive my period. And that jerk is the reason I'm single right now. He sat next to me on another stool, and I sat down on the bar stool. "What do you want to drink?" Whiskey." He got a whiskey for both of us. "Are you alone, too?" I questioned the barman as he handed us our drinks. "Yes, I'm here for a random inspection," I said. I frowned. "Inspection?" He grinned. "I own this club." "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know that." He shrugged and took a drink of his whiskey. "It's okay." I took up the glass with my left hand, and he looked at my empty ring finger. "Where's your ring? Did the engagement break or what?" he joked. "Yes," I said with a sour tone. "Are you serious?" His eyes were on my face. "Yes." That he found someone better to take my place, so he broke the engagement. He was drinking when he heard me curse Ryan, and he coughed on his drink. He promptly got a glass of water from the barman and drank it. "But he just asked you to marry him a few months ago, didn't he?" he remarked in disbelief. I made my lips into a narrow line. "He did. He said he loved me, but now he doesn't. He got interested in some girl who joined his office. He is a cheater." "So, you're not seeing anyone right now? Why? Are you going to ask me out?" I said in a funny way. He laughed a little bit. "Of course not. I don't go out with anyone." I rolled my eyes and said, "Does Ali know?" while I ordered another drink. I drank the liquid quickly. "No. I don't want to tell her yet." "And you, mister, are not going to tell her either, or you will not like what happens." I pointed my finger at him and cautioned him. He gave up and lifted his hands. "I won't say a word to anyone." "Good. Are you paying for the drinks?" I questioned him while I ordered another drink for myself. "Drink as much as you want. It's free for you tonight," he said with a wink. I winked back and smiled. "Thanks." This time, his eyes weren't so subtle as they looked at my body. "Sophie, you look amazing. Beautiful enough to make you want me," I said with a wink. He appeared a little surprised by what I said, but he immediately got over it and smiled. beautiful enough to easily seduce me. I leaned in closer and murmured in his ear while batting my eyelashes at him. Thanks for telling me. I was going to do that. I ran my fingertips down his arm and then sat up straight in my seat. He laughed in a sensual way and ran his tongue over his lips, which made me mentally sigh since they looked so nice. Then I drank and drank till my knees gave out and my feet were staggering. But my brain was still operating fine. I understood everything. Liam put his arm around my shoulder to save me from falling, and I laughed at him. I'll take you home, he offered, and I laughed again and nodded. He led me to his car, made me get in the passenger seat, and put on my seatbelt. Then he sat in the driver's seat and revved the engine while asking for my address. And he left the club in his car. I couldn't stop swooning over him all the way home. He saw it but didn't say anything, which made me happy. The automobile stopped in front of my modest apartment block, and the driver turned to me and turned off the engine. He questioned, "Can you get back to your flat?" I didn't say anything and just laughed again while looking at his lips. "Hey, Sophie, are you listening?" I nodded. He let out a sigh. "Can you go up to your—" I didn't let him finish. Instead, I grabbed his collar and kissed him hungrily. He hesitated, and I waited for him to kiss me again, but he softly pulled me away, so I pouted. "It's not a good idea," he said in a hoarse voice. I held onto his collar with my hands and turned my head. "Why?" "Sophie," I moved in closer. "You just said that I could easily seduce you. What happened? What changed?" He didn't answer, so I continued, "You can stay for one night, Liam." He looked me in the eye for a few seconds, then swore under his breath and kissed me hard. The rest was a haze. I remember falling down on my bed with him on top of me. Sophie's point of view, I felt like my brain was about to burst any second as I woke up. How much did I drink last night? I looked around the room in confusion and then down at myself, recognizing that I was under the covers that were covering me. What? I put my hands on my head and tried to remember everything that happened last night. After about 5 minutes of attempting to focus, I started to remember things. I ran into Liam at the bar. He bought me drinks. I flirting with him. He is taking me home. I kissed him. And him on top of me in bed. Awesome. What did I do? There were no clothes on the floor, so he must have left before I woke up. I saw a tiny plate on the nightstand with a pill on it that I consumed to get rid of hangovers. There was a small round disc-like thing on the plate next to it that covered a glass of water. And a piece of paper on top of it. I took the paper and read it. "I hope you had a good time last night. Have a good day, Sophie." Liam, who in the world would leave a note like that? I took the pill with the water and went inside the bathroom to get ready, still not being able to believe I had been with Liam. When I met Ali this morning, I felt strange, like I had done something wrong by sleeping with her brother-in-law. But it wasn't wrong at all. I can sleep with whoever I want, and I know Ali doesn't care, but I still feel weird. Especially when she talks about how sweet, funny, or annoying he is all the time. I didn't tell her anything about Ryan. I didn't want to tell anyone yet. So, I attempted to hide my empty ring finger from her all day. It was evening when she spoke. So, what did Ryan want to talk about? I thought of a lie. He didn't want to talk, actually it turned out to be a date. Why yes. I fakely laughed. Yes. It turned out to be a date. He wanted to surprise me, actually. She grinned. That's so sweet of him. I offered her a phony grin. Yes. Of course. I grabbed up the water bottle to sip some water when Ali pointed towards my hand and stated, "Where's your ring?" I hurriedly put the bottle down and placed my left hand behind my back. "It's at home." I lied again. Her eyebrows came together. "But you never take it off." I thought about it a lot and said, "I take it off every time I shower, so I took it off this morning and forgot to put it back on." "Oh," she murmured gently and kept cooking the chicken. And I let out a sigh of relief. When she finds out I lied to her, she's going to murder me. Arg. I bid goodbye to Ali and left the restaurant, but I paused when I saw Blake resting against his car in front of the restaurant. I pushed my lips together tightly. Why can't he leave me alone? I walked up to him. "What the hell do you want now?" He stopped leaning and stood up straight. "I believe I made it very clear what I want." I laughed. "I think I made it clear that you won't get that." He ran his fingers through his hair. "Please, Sophie." I rolled my eyes and walked away from him. "Come on, it was a mistake," he yelled to me. I wasn't grown up. I stopped and turned around to go back to him. I crossed my arms and halted in front of him. "Even if I forgive you, you still won't get me." "Why?" he said in a panicked voice. "Are you deaf? I told you clearly yesterday that I am engaged, and I don't want you." He looked down at my hand and smiled a little. "I don't see a ring on your finger." "The ring?" "That's because," I took a long breath. "We don't want to tell anyone about our engagement yet." He lifted his eyebrow in a funny way. "Are you engaged to the president or a billionaire?" I fought the temptation to strangle him and clenched my teeth. "Blake, you don't need to know who I'm engaged to." He smiled. "You are lying." "Please, Blake, leave me alone. I'm begging you. You're not going to get me. Get this through your head. At least I can try to win you. You will waste your time." He winked at me, which made me sick. "I'll make it worth it," I said with a forced smile. "Good luck with your work." I went away again, but when I thought he was following me, I put my hand up. "Do you dare to follow me?" I replied without turning back. I heard him laugh softly. "Of course, Sophie." A week later I'm very tired. Why? I just woke up. I felt very exhausted even yesterday. I don't know what's wrong with me. Everything hurts, my stomach, my brain, my muscles, everything. I can get myself to the bathroom and take a hot shower to ease the pain in my muscles. I recognized how bad I looked as I stood in front of the mirror and dried my hair. My face was so pale. It seemed like my eyes were a little crimson. People who see me will believe I haven't eaten or slept well in days. I think this entire thing with Blake turning up and breaking off the engagement really hurt me. I shook my mind and threw those thoughts aside. Then I got ready to go to the restaurant. Ali's eyes became big, and her jaw dropped open when I walked into the kitchen. Wow, you look. She looked at me and tried to find a term to describe me. Ugh. I said, thanks, quietly while holding my purse over the counter. Did Blake come back again or what? He did come back here a week ago, but luckily, he found something better to do with his time. I told her everything he said to me. Next time, just tell me, and I'll take care of him. Sure, I answered with a hint of sarcasm. After that, she gave me a troubled look. But, what's wrong with you? You look sick. I shrugged. I don't know either. Are you on your period? No, it's late this time. I don't know why. Your periods are pretty regular, so what happened? Are you stressed? No, Ali. I'm fine, I lied. She hummed and put her hand on my forehead. I think you have a fever, but it's not too high. Oh. I think you should take the day off. I shook my head. I'll be okay. I can still work. She put her hands on her hips. Who's in charge here? I rolled my eyes. You. Miss Spencer, your boss tells you to get out of here and see a doctor, or she will do it herself. She stared at me. Doctor? Really? I replied in anger. Ali, it's just a fever. Yes. You only have a mild fever, but you look like you were hit by a truck. That's why you need to see a doctor. Sometimes, she acts like a mum. And that genuinely warms my heart. She gave me my purse, shoved me out of the kitchen, and closed the door. Come on. It's merely a high temperature. I hit the door. Ali, I promise I'll go to the doctor first thing in the morning. Just let me work today. When the door opened, she stood there with her arms crossed and a serious look on her face. You promise? I nodded fast. Yes. I swear. She let me in after a long sigh. After I told the lady doctor that my period was late, she collected samples of my blood and urine. But it wasn't needed. I don't think so, I am pregnant. It's not feasible. I remember Liam used protection. Or did he not? No. He did. Or he didn't. He did. He didn't. He did. He didn't. He did. The doctor came back with the results and a big smile on her face, which broke my train of thought. What the hell is she excited about? She sat down at her desk, and the smile on her face made me anxious. Is everything okay? I said. She laughed. Everything's fine. I don't get it. She said, it's clear, Miss Spencer. You're pregnant. I am what? He lost some of his smile as I said it. You are pregnant? A week pregnant? I laughed without any humor. You're kidding, right? She said no. Miss Spencer, no. The reports say you are clearly pregnant. I can't believe this. It can't be. She was quite surprised. Yes, it's true. I'm not lying. Do you need an ultrasound report to prove it? Yes, I answered right away. okay. Look, that's your baby, she said, pointing to the little creature within my stomach. To calm myself down, I took deep breaths. I'm going to have a baby. That Liam made me pregnant. I thanked the doctor, picked up the reports, and left the hospital. I strolled down the street for a few minutes without knowing where I was going. I gazed at my stomach. I'm shocked that I'm pregnant. There was a cab on the other side of the street, and I waved it down. Where to, ma'am? The driver inquired. I said, Whitmore Holdings, while glancing out the window. Liam's point of view, I was working on my laptop when the intercom rang. I clicked the button and heard Jason, my assistant, answer. Sir, there is a woman named Sophie Spencer at the front desk who wants to see you. She says she is a friend. Sophie? And she says it's urgent and that she will burn down this whole building if you don't see her. He said this in a funny way. What? Send her up. She's a, friend. Okay, sir. What the hell is wrong with her? Why does she want to meet me all of a sudden? 2 minutes later, the door to my office burst open, scaring me. I saw Sophie storming in, and before I knew it, a tiny file of documents was thrown at my face. I stood up because I was surprised by her scream. What's wrong with you? I was confused as I looked down at the papers that had fallen on my desk. And what is this? She grinned fiercely and crossed her arms across her chest. That, Mr. Whitmore, is the ultrasound report of your child growing inside me. My mouth fell open. Sorry, what? My kid? Is it growing within her? Is this a joke? Why you have my child growing inside you? I said, pointing at her. Did I stutter? Are you kidding me? Are you playing a joke on me? Did Ali send you? Do I look like I'm in the mood to prank you? She shouted. I was startled by the way she spoke. She scares me. She stepped closer to me and grabbed my collar, forcing my face closer to hers when I didn't say anything. She gritted her teeth. What could you do? What do you mean? Get me pregnant? What else? I pulled myself free of her grip. Do you think I did it on purpose? She pushed me on the shoulder. You didn't use protection. How could you be so careless? I used protection. I said. How did this happen, then? How can I know? And how do you know it's my child? It could be someone else's. She didn't like what I said at all. Her cheeks became red with rage. You think I'm lying? I'm a week pregnant, and I slept with you exactly a week ago. I already told you my engagement with Ryan ended, and the last time I slept with him was a month ago. Do you really think I slept with other people besides you? I huffed. I know for sure that I used protection. I don't know how you got pregnant. She hit me on the shoulder. You didn't use protection. I did. It must have broken or something. And stop hitting me, I replied, clutching my shoulder. She was breathing deeply and staring at me, lost in thought. She said, You will be responsible for this child, after a minute. Right now, I don't want a child at all. I said, No, what do you mean no? I don't want this child. She went from being angry to being confused. Why? That's why I don't want a child. She stepped back. So, you don't want it? What if I get rid of it? I asked her. Do what you want. I don't care. She had a poker face, but her eyes spoke a lot. When I said those words, her expression became blank, yet a maelstrom of feelings started to build up in her eyes. I wish I hadn't said anything, but I can't take it back. I shouldn't have said it. She spoke something sarcastically. Thanks for your time, Mr. Whitmore. Have a great day. She left after that, slamming the door behind her. I sat down in my chair and looked at the ultrasound reports that were still on my desk. I pulled on the tie around my neck and let it go, simply to keep my hands busy. I cautiously picked up the ultrasound results and looked at them. I could see the small baby developing inside her like a seed. There is a baby developing inside her. I didn't want to have a kid. Not right now. But something strange happened as I ran my finger over the report. My heart felt better. And it skipped a few beats. This is my kid. How can I not care? I put on my coat and went out of my office with it over my shoulder. Is everyone still in bed? I thought as I walked inside Nathan's house, as I had a backup key. I was hungry all of a sudden, so I walked to the kitchen, got a bowl, put some cereal into it, and then leaned against the counter and started eating. Nat stepped into the kitchen a minute later, not knowing I was there. When he saw me, he stopped. He raised an eyebrow at me, and I smiled. How are you doing, brother? He looked at me with suspicion. Better. I ate the grains. Good. Good. Why are you here? I set the dish down. I just wanted to check on you. He looked at the clock on the wall. No. You'd rather be at work right now than here, even if I die. I laughed uncomfortably. Oh, brother. I'm just checking on you. You know how much I care about you. And, he crossed his arms. You would never admit your love for me. Vincenzo opened his mouth to respond, but I stopped him. He got closer to him. And I laughed nervously again and moved closer. Even if I never told you I loved you, I'm doing it now. I'm changing. I don't want you to change, he said. Of course, he looked at my tie. You're nervous. My eyebrows came together. Navu? Why will I be nervous? Everything is great when you dress up for work, but when you're nervous, your tie gets crooked. He pointed to my tie. I glanced down and repaired it right away. I was, in a hurry. Hurry to go where? I want to see you, I murmured in a weak voice. He rolled his eyes. I'm not buying this excuse. What are you doing? Nothing, brother. I said right away and a little too loudly. Then I grinned shyly and whispered gently. Nothing. Nothing. Everything is fine. He walked over to the fridge. Talk about it, or I'll find out on my own. He unlocked the fridge, pulled out a bottle of water, and opened it while looking at me. When I abruptly spoke, he took a sip. I made someone pregnant. He immediately spewed all the water out of my mouth over my face. What did you say? He closed the bottle and put it back inside before turning to me. I frowned because he spewed water all over my face, but I didn't say anything. I simply picked up the kitchen towel and wiped it off. He took hold of both of my shoulders. His mouth fell, and his eyes got so big. Say it again. I closed my eyes and rubbed my temples hard. I made someone pregnant. And then he laughed in a strange, awkward, anxious, and I don't know what type of way. Are you kidding me? I let out a long sigh. I wish I was. He shook my shoulders. What did you do? I looked down. Sorry. Sorry? Sorry? A sorry won't fix this, and why are you saying sorry to me? I ran my fingers through my hair. I don't know, he said. Who is she? Again, I laughed uncomfortably. Who is she? He yelled. What will you do by knowing her? It's not. I trembled at the way he spoke and swallowed. Sophie. Okay, Sophie, Sophie. He stopped for a moment. What's her last name? What? Sophie, who? I was so scared that I wanted to cry. Spencer. Sophie Spencer. A friend of Ali's. Do you want to die? What the hell did you do? Didn't you use protection? I did, brother, I did, it just happened. She is engaged, Liam. She is engaged. She has a fiancé. No. She isn't. He got a little calmer. What? Her engagement broke. How? I don't know. She told me all of this. I don't remember much. I was drunk. She was drunk. I groaned. He put his hand on my forehead. I'm going to faint, I said as I grasped his shoulder. Are you okay, brother? Okay. How can I be okay? And why didn't Ali tell me about her broken engagement? I remember her saying that she hasn't told Ali yet. Oh, and when did she tell you she was pregnant? This morning, in my office, with the ultrasound reports. What did you say to her? I questioned anxiously, does it matter? Yes. That to deal with it herself. I don't care. Then I left. His lips were thin, and he hit me. Difficult. I didn't say anything, I simply looked down. I earned that. How can you say that, Liam? How can you not care? It's your child too. I didn't say anything. Did mother teach us to tell the woman who is pregnant with your child? I swear to God, Liam. I swear to God, if anything happens to her or the child, you will die by my hands. I didn't try to move or say anything. Go. What are you waiting for? Go, say you're sorry, and tell her you care. Make sure she's okay. She's safe. She's healthy. Just go find her. Well. Go. I nodded and departed without looking him in the eye. Sophie's point of view. I put my hand on my stomach, and my eyes filled with tears. No. I won't weep. I've made up my mind. I sat up straight in the chair and waited for my time to see the doctor. I can't raise this child since my money and mental health aren't good enough. It's better to abort this kid than to bring it into the world and let it suffer because of my lack of money or my incapacity to be a decent mother. Also, the child's father doesn't care about it either. I don't care. Do what you want. His words replayed in my thoughts, breaking my heart over and over again. It seems like history is repeating itself. Did I really think he would be delighted about this? No. But he could have at least tried. No. Don't think about him. I don't care about him or the child. That's it, I'm having an abortion. But is it ethical to murder someone who is innocent and hasn't even had a chance to open their eyes? I killed someone. I cried as a tear fell down my face. I brushed it away with the back of my hand. You can accomplish this. No. I can't do it. I can't murder my child. So what if its dad doesn't want it? You can accomplish this. Thank goodness the hallway was empty, so no one could see the tears streaming down my face. I stood up from the chair. I can do this. It's not right. I get to choose. I can do whatever I want with this kid. I heard footsteps coming down the hallway behind me, and as I turned around, I saw Liam running towards me. His hair was a mess, his tie was hanging loose around his neck, and the sleeves of his shirt were pulled up to his elbows. He looked like a wreck. He slowed down and stopped a ways away from me, breathing deeply, and looked at me hard. Then, he immediately crossed the space between us and grasped my shoulders. Please tell me you didn't have an abortion. His eyes sought me for a response. She opened the door to the doctor's cottage and walked out. Miss Spencer, it's your turn now. He looked relieved when he saw that I hadn't had an abortion yet. But why? I looked to the doctor to answer, and her eyes landed on Liam, who seemed surprised. Sophie. He carefully moved my head towards him. Please don't abort it. His eyes seemed like they were begging me. I've already made up my mind, I said. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have spoken all that. Please don't kill it, he implored. I'm sorry, Mr. Whitmore, but, the doctor cut us off. But you can't make her keep this child. It's up to her. Liam's jaw tightened. Can you please leave us alone for a few minutes? She nodded and went back inside her cabin, leaving us alone. I stepped back from him. You told me to do what I want. And I am doing what I think is right. He reached out to take my hand, but I stepped back again. You won't touch me. He pulled his hand back. Okay. But let me clarify. Please. As he stated, I crossed my arms across my chest to give him a chance to explain. I really am sorry for what I said to you in my office this morning. I wish I hadn't done it. I knew I desired this after you went. I want this kid. I am ready to be its parent and take care of all that comes with it. Please don't let me lose it, he begged. But I don't want it anymore, I said. More than anything else in the world, I want this child. He rubbed his face with his fingers to attempt to come up with anything. Please, Sophie. I'll do everything for it, but just don't end it. Please. I'm sorry. The door to the doctor's office opened, and she stepped out again, appearing angry and saying, "Miss, have you made up your mind, Spencer? Do you want to end it?" I looked at Liam, who seemed like he was dreading my response, and then I looked at the doctor. I stared down at my tummy. I have a chance to bring this kid into the world, and if I miss it, I will feel so guilty. I glanced up at the doctor and said, "No." I gave my tummy one more look. Liam let out a big breath of relief and relaxed his shoulders. "Thank God," he said. "I hope I'm not doing something wrong." The doctor didn't seem happy with my response. "Okay," she said, but Liam interrupted her and said, "Excuse me." "Yes," she said to Liam. "MS." He looked down at the name tag on her chest and replied, "Kara." He moved closer to her and suddenly appeared scary. "I hope this doesn't come out to the press. Or I have other means to make sure of that." She was definitely scared of him because she stuttered. "Why yes, Mr. Whitmore." He grinned and said, "Thank you." The doctor quickly ran back into her cabin, and when he looked at me, his face softened. "Let's go," he muttered, trying to keep his hand on my lower back, but he didn't when I scowled at him, and he recalled what I had said about not touching me. He strolled next to me, yet there was space between us. "I'm sorry, Sophie," he said quietly as we left the hospital. "How many times are you going to say that?" I snapped. "You didn't say you were sorry. And I won't." He looked down. "I understand. Can I take you home, please?" I rolled my eyes and sat in the car he had parked in front of the hospital. He locked the door for me and then got in the driver's seat. He started the engine and drove off. A few minutes later, he stopped the car at a red light. I was lost in concentration and looked out the window, but I could feel him looking at me. "Sophie?" "Hey," he whispered gently. I turned to him and said, "What?" "Hey, you really don't want this kid?" I peered out the window again. "No," I said again, lying. He only groaned unhappily and switched the car back on when the lights turned green. He proceeded straight instead of choosing the route to the right, which would have taken him to my flat. "That's not the way to get to my flat. That's the way to get to my house." "Why are you bringing me to your house?" "'Cause that's where you'll live from now on," he said, looking at the road. "No. Take me back to my place." "I won't live with you," he said, and then he sped up the automobile. "Why do you want me to live with you?" "Because I don't trust you enough to let you live by yourself. Under my care, in my house, you will live." He stated it in a stern voice. I fiercely crossed my arms and said, "That doesn't make sense. You are pregnant with my child, Sophie. I won't let you hurt it." I couldn't believe what I heard. "Do you really think I'm going to hurt my own child?" He said, "Yes," after a time. Then he stopped and said, "Maybe. I hate you." "Well, good. Thanks," he muttered, turning his attention back to driving. "Arg. I don't want to live with him. I would never damage my own child, but it looks like my falsehoods made him think I was lying. I'm the only one to blame for this." "Did you tell Ally?" "Why?" I questioned. He looked at me and said, "And I?" "No. I rolled my eyes at what he said, but I was glad he didn't tell her anything. Does anyone else know? Brother does, I questioned again. And how did he, respond? He slapped me, he said. I was shocked and said, you didn't need to slap me. He didn't hit me for getting you pregnant, but he did tell you that I don't care. Then it was definitely necessary. He didn't say anything or do anything, and he drove in silence. I was worried about a question. Did you say sorry to me just because he hit you? And instructed you to say sorry to me? He looked at me, and I knew we were at his house because he stopped the car. I said sorry to you because I knew what I said was wrong. And now I want this kid. I am ready to be its dad. Brother didn't tell me to do it. I'm really doing this. Keep that in mind. He stared me in the eyes for a few more seconds before stepping out of the car. I was still sitting inside, thinking about what he had said, when he opened the door and said, "Come." I stepped out of the car gently and took a minute to examine the beautiful house in front of me. It was simple yet beautiful. He went through the gates and up the marble walk to the mansion. "Welcome to the LW estate," he stated with a big smile as we walked into the mansion. "LW?" I asked in a confused way. He rolled his eyes as his smile faded. "LW? Liam Whitmore." "Of course," I said, glancing at the beautiful inside of the mansion. As we got closer, a woman in her mid-40s came out of the kitchen and looked at me in shock. He smiled and said, "This is Helen, my housekeeper. She is like a second mother to me. And this is Sophie," he said, pointing to me. Helen looked me over from head to toe with a blank face, which made me feel strange. "And she is your what?" she inquired Liam, lifting her brow. He seemed anxious as he looked back and forth between me and her. She's is she your girlfriend?" Helen asked. He opened and kissed his lips, not knowing what to say, and tried his best to think. Then he grinned a lot and moved closer to me, wrapping his arms over my shoulders. That's what it seemed like, but in reality, his arms didn't contact my shoulders, he made sure they were hanging in the air. "Yes, of course. This is my girlfriend, Sophie. Helen, meet her." A little while after. "Yes, of course. This is my girlfriend, Sophie. Helen, meet her." What the hell did I just say? Helen's eyes got bigger, and Sophie turned her head to look at me. "What?" Sophie whispered loudly. "You have a girlfriend?" Helen inquired. "Well, yes. Friend of a girl. You can tell that she is a female and a friend, thus, she is a girlfriend." I said meekly, "There's room between those two words." Helen didn't seem convinced at all. "Come on. She'll be here for a few months," I said. Helen squinted. "Months? And why is that?" I looked to Sophie, who was frowning at me, and said, "I guess Sophie can explain that." "Why the hell are you making up stories?" Sophie yelled. "Why don't you just tell her that I'm pregnant?" Helen screamed loudly when I shoved my face into the ground. "You weren't supposed to say that," I hissed. But it was too late. "Liam!" Helen yelled, "What did you do?" I got closer to Helen. Listen, I can explain. Please don't tell it to Mom, I said. No, I'm telling Margaret right now. I put my hands together and implored her, please, Helen. Don't tell Mom, otherwise she'll kill me. Please. I gazed at her with puppy eyes, begging her not to tell her mother what I had said. She grumbled and marched by me, then gently put her hand on Sophie's lower back and led her to the kitchen. Are you hungry, dear? She requested in a nice voice. Not really. Come on. If you're pregnant, you should eat healthily. Come, I'll make you something. She led her into the kitchen. I was confused as I watched them walk away. What the hell happened? After a minute, I went into the kitchen after them. Helen was making pancakes, and Sophie was standing next to her. How many weeks pregnant are you, dear? Helen said, a week. Sophie replied gently. When did you learn about it? This morning. Are you two going out? No, I cleared my throat before she could ask me any more questions. Helen, can I talk to her for a minute? Helen glared at me and walked away, leaving us alone. Are you really that afraid of your mum? I leaned closer to Sophie and said, not really, but she tends to overreact, which makes her scary. I just hope she doesn't tell Mother, I said under my breath. She won't. She claimed she wouldn't if you treated me well. I rolled my eyes and answered, sure. I'm going back to the office. You can relax. If you need anything, ask Helen. I'll see you in the evening, I said. What about my clothes? And what about my other things? I put my hands in my trousers pockets and said, what if I buy you a whole new wardrobe? No, thanks. Okay, I responded. You will get your stuff in a few hours. I looked down at her tummy and smiled a little. I could feel the thrill flowing through my veins. Stop smiling like a fool, she said, and I snapped out of my thoughts. I scratched the back of my neck and turned to go. I didn't go home at night since I was busy working on a new project at the office, and I even fell asleep at my desk. When I woke up in the morning at work, I recognized I didn't have much time to go home, get dressed, and come back since I had an important meeting today. So, I had my clothes delivered and didn't go home. Today is Saturday, but I work on Saturdays. I went to Nat's place instead of coming home after the job was done in the evening. How long do you plan to keep her? Nat questioned me as he leaned against his desk in his study. I sat back in the chair and said, what do you mean by how long I plan to keep her? She is going to stay with me till she has the baby. He massaged his beard and said, good. Have you told Ali yet? Do you want me to die? I let out a heavy sigh. Sophie didn't tell her anything either. Nat hit the tabletop with his fist. I still can't believe you got her pregnant, Liam. The door blasted open, and we both stared at the entry in horror. Ali was standing there, staring at me. She marched over to me and grabbed my collar, her expression full of disbelief. You did what? Ali Nat attempted to say something, but she gave him a look that made him stop. Her hold got tighter. What did you do? She is getting married. Do you want her to break off her engagement? Did you take advantage of her? She said in a low, deadly voice. My eyes became bigger. No. I would never do that. You are lying. She would never betray anyone. Nat put his hand on her shoulder and said, leave him first. And let him have a chance to say what he wants to say. She withdrew her hands off my collar and stepped back, still gazing at me. Now, tell me. I stood up and said, first of all, she is not engaged. Ali opened her lips to stop me, but I kept on. She got engaged. I met her at my club that night. She was inebriated, and she said everything to me. Later, I dropped her off at her flat and, well, I wiped my throat in an unpleasant way. You know what happened next? Ali's mouth fell. Why didn't I know about her engagement? Because she didn't tell you. I said, "Duh," in a mocking tone and rolled my eyes. Nat, who was next to me, murmured, "Don't make it worse, brother." Ali put her hand over her head and said, "She lied to me." She said nothing to me, she said to herself. I told her, she didn't want to worry you. She became angry and yelled, "Shut up." She was still in astonishment and exited the study without saying anything further. That's it. I was already preparing for my funeral. Nat groaned and said, "Don't worry about her. I read that women get mood swings while they are pregnant." I hummed in response to his agreement, but as I comprehended what he said, I turned to him and exclaimed, "Pregnancy? Is she pregnant?" Yes. Didn't I tell you?" "Tell me." "You never told me." He grinned sheepishly and said, "Oh, I thought I did." "Seriously? When? How? Why? What do you mean how?" I asked. I shook my head. "That's not what I meant." "How many weeks pregnant is she?" He said, "A week." "Sophie is also a week along in her pregnancy." "Did we both decide to have s shut up, Liam?" He glanced at me blankly. "I was just wondering." He rolled his eyes, and Ali came back to the study and stood in front of me, angry. "Where is she?" "At my house," she said. "Bring me to her," she said. "Okay." I looked across at Nat, who merely shrugged his shoulders. "Do you want to go to her now?" "Yes." "Fine." I picked up my vehicle keys from the desk and headed downstairs. She followed me, moaning to herself. "Welcome to the LW estate," I proudly said as I walked into the home. I lost my smile when she didn't even look at the inside. Of course, Nat's house is much nicer. I rolled my eyes in my head. "Sophie!" she cried, and I had to muffle my ears. "Oh my gosh! Don't yell! Let me call her," I said. I peered into the kitchen. "Helen! No, she's not here." I was about to go up the stairs when I spotted Helen coming down. "Where's Sophie? She doesn't feel good. She threw up. By the way, she's in your bedroom." "Okay." I turned to Ali and motioned for her to follow me. "She's upstairs." I walked upstairs with Ali behind me and opened the door to my bedroom. Sophie was lying on the bed with the blankets over her. Sophie." Ali came in before I could finish my statement. Sophie, how could you do this to me? Sophie's mouth dropped open, and she sat up straight and glared at me. I didn't say anything to her. I stood up for myself. She merely heard me talking to Nat. Ali sat on the bed, and Sophie didn't look at me. Why? I'm sorry, Ali, Sophie whispered quietly. I was so worried about you, and you were lying to me all this time. She looked down. I'm so sorry. Your engagement is over, and you're pregnant. And you didn't even tell me. Are you mad at me? Did I damage you? Sophie instantly took her hand in hers and said, No, you didn't harm me, and I'm not mad at you. I just needed some time to think about everything, and I didn't want to bother you. I told you, I said. They both looked at me like they wanted to kill me, and I murmured a quick sorry before they went back to talking. After a minute more of saying sorry and pointing fingers, Ali hugged her tightly, and I moved outside to give them some space, which I should have done a few minutes before. Forget it. I walked down to the kitchen and got 2 slices of bread and butter. I put a lot of butter on one piece of bread, then put the second piece on top of it. Just as I was about to take a bite, Ali came down. I saw her march up to me with the buttered bread sandwich halfway to my lips. Her stare told me she was still mad at me. If she gets even one scratch on her, you will be torn to pieces, she said. My brows wrinkled. What do you think I'm going to do with her? Hurt her or something? Or turn her into my slave? Her jaw tightened. Don't even think about touching her. She cautioned me again, took my sandwich from my hand, and proceeded to the front door while eating it. I cooked that sandwich. Do they think I'm a monster? I thought to myself. Hold on. How is Ali expected to get back? I rushed after her. Ali, wait. Sophie's point of view, I was wandering around his house after Ali was gone. Luckily, she didn't murder me and even forgave me, making me pledge not to lie to her again. And I can't believe we're both having babies at the same time. As I walked down the hall, I saw a big picture frame. The background looked like a palace, and Mr. and Mrs. Whitmore and Liam and Nathan were sitting on royal chairs in the middle of the frame. They were all smiling and had their arms around each other's shoulders. I smiled when I saw the family picture. It was so cute. As I walked down the corridor, I stopped at a door. When I opened it and went inside, I gasped at how magnificent the library and study were. I don't read books, but I was still interested in it. I strolled over to the bookcases and ran my fingertips over the volumes. There were a few books on business, but most of the books were romance novels, which was shocking. I can't believe it. There was a soft knock on the door, and I saw Helen standing there. Dinner is ready. I nodded and then went downstairs after her. I helped Helen set the table and then went down to eat. As I loaded my plate with the numerous items she had made, Liam came in through the front door, looking tired. His light blue shirt sleeves were pulled up to his elbows, his tie was loose around his neck, his hair was a tangle, and his beard was thicker than it had been a week ago. As I heard him walk upstairs, he looked at me as he walked by the dining room and then left. He strolled into the dining room 2 minutes later, wearing a t-shirt and grey sweatpants. He sat down across from me, served himself, and then ate in silence. None of us said anything or even looked at each other as we ate. I asked Helen if I could assist her after I ate, but she said no and instructed me to relax instead. I think it was a good idea. When I got upstairs, I noticed Liam heading down the hall to the end and entering into his study and library. I don't know why I'm paying so much attention to him today. Arg. I walked inside the room and looked at my phone for a while, but I felt bored, so I decided to take a book from his library, even though I don't like to read. He won't mind, will he? I went to his library and knocked on the door. Come in, he said. I carefully opened the door and stuck my head inside. He was sitting in front of his desk with a few papers on it. His glasses were resting on his nose, and he had a frown on his forehead as if he were thinking about something. His lips were in a pout, and a pencil was between his upper lip and his nose. His eyes were focused on the paper in front of him. He gently raised his eyes from the page and looked at me as I walked in. He took the pencil from above his lips and held it between his fingers. He tilted his head to the side and pushed his glasses up with his finger as they fell down. Yes. Why does he have to be so attractive? I really forgot why I came here. I scratched my head and said, "Oh. I was wondering whether I could. Can I borrow a book from here?" He frowned and narrowed his eyes at me. He easily spun the pencil between his fingers. Come on. They're just books. What do you have to think about them? He wasted 2 minutes to make a choice that might have been made in 2 seconds. I sighed in frustration and looked at the bookcase. I don't need his permission to borrow a book. Don't, he murmured in a low, calm, cold, and menacing voice as I was about to pick up a book. Really? For the millionth time, they are just books. I turned to him in frustration and said, "What?" He took off his glasses, put them on the desk, pushed back his swivel chair, and stood up. He walked up to me with a few smooth steps and asked, "Which one do you want?" "I haven't made up my mind yet," I said. He groaned. "What kind of book do you want to read?" I wondered for a second. "A thriller." He nodded and walked over to the bookshelf in the corner. After looking it over, he took out a book and gave it to me. I read what it was about, and I wasn't interested. Nope. Not really fascinating. I threw the book in the air and caught it. Liam looked scared when I did that. He took the book from me and looked at all of its sides to see whether it was damaged. "Are you crazy?" he yelled at him. "What? Never do that again." "What if it had fallen?" "I would have picked it up," I responded without thinking. He tightened his teeth and said, "You will not do that again." Then he carefully put the book back on the shelf, making sure it was straight. Is he crazy? When I saw a title that fascinated me, like The Silent Patient, I rolled my eyes and glanced at the other books. I pointed to it and said, "That one." "That's one of my favorites," he remarked, not wanting to give it to me. "So?" He exhaled softly, picked it up, and gave it to me. Not a single scratch on it. There isn't a single scratch or damaged page. Give it back to me just the way it is. It's just a book. He frowned. There are only books for you. But to me, they mean more than that. I'm quite protective of them and won't let anybody else borrow them. Just read it carefully. I shoved my forehead into the wall. Oh my gosh! Okay, if something occurs, I'll purchase you the same book again. No, you can purchase it again, but you can't buy the memories that go with it. Memories? Are you serious? He told me to go and didn't answer me. I am busy, I said, rolling my eyes. Whatever, I said and departed. He is completely insane. Later that night, as I was reading the book in my room, I saw a line I loved and wanted to underline it. So I went to his study to ask for a pencil. When I told him what I wanted to do with it, his eyes widened, and he seemed irritated. He told me that I couldn't underline anything or let a pencil touch it, even a little bit. So he told me to go away and snap a photo of the line I liked without providing me with a pencil. I huffed, closed the book, and put it on the nightstand. I've never seen somebody so fascinated with reading before. Liam stepped in through the door just as I was ready to go to sleep. What are you doing here? Why? I questioned. Going to sleep, he responded in a voice. Why will you sleep here? He rolled his eyes and said, because it's my room. What? Is this your room? Yes. I looked around the room and got out of bed. So why am I here? Because you will only be staying in my room. You can't sleep alone. Why? Is he crazy? I told you I don't trust you enough to leave you alone. So, I'll be keeping an eye on you. I couldn't believe it. That's not fair. Plus, I slept by myself last night anyway. I know. Helen was watching after you while I was gone. That's creepy. He shrugged and said, you will have to earn the trust. Before I could say anything, he went into the washroom. I grumbled since I knew I would have to share the room with him. It's his room, so it's no surprise that it's so nice. I was so angry with myself and, of course, at him. He strolled in with no shirt on and only sweatpants on, which made me gasp. You can't sleep that way. I pointed at him. He looked down at himself and said, is there a problem? Would you enjoy it if I walked around your room in my pants? I said in anger. His lips turned up in a little smile. I don't think you'll like the answer to that. It took my dumb brain 10 seconds to figure out what he meant, and when I did, I gasped and flung a pillow at him, which he caught. You are so shameless. He laughed and said, can't help it. I shouted, you won't sleep on the bed, as he got closer. Why, he said, his brows furrowing. I'm not going to sleep with you. Sleep on the couch or something. He glanced around and said, there is no couch in the room. Then sleep on the floor, I don't care. But you can't sleep on the bed. Or you can sleep in a different room. He clenched his jaw. No, I'm only going to sleep here. He took a cushion and a duvet and put them on the floor next to the bed, on the side where I was lying down. I smiled because I knew I had won and turned out the lights. I can't believe she wouldn't let me sleep in my own bed, I heard him say to himself. And my lips turned into a sneer. Get used to it. He growled, that's very funny. There was stillness after that, but we were both awake. The moonlight flowing in through the window lit up the room. I observed him as he stared at the ceiling with both hands beneath his head. Stop staring, he whispered sternly, still glancing at the ceiling. I rolled my eyes and replied, "You have a lot of romance novels in your library, so I thought you didn't believe in love." He looked at me and replied, "Who said I don't believe in love, honey?" I opted to disregard the affection. "Well, you don't date, so," he let out a sigh. "Just because I don't date doesn't mean I don't believe in love. More than anything else, I believe in it." "Then why don't you go out?" He took his hands out from behind his head and looked at me. "My business won't run itself. It needs me. And I don't want to spend my time going on dumb dates. You are not the sole head of a company. Your brother also manages the business, right?" My brother worked hard enough. He worked day and night. It was his hard work that got the company this far. I didn't do much. Now, I want to let him rest and remove some of his obligations off his shoulders so that he is pleased. Do you get it? I nodded because I didn't know what to say. I didn't realize he loved his brother that much. It seemed strange that we just lay there staring at each other, and no one broke eye contact. Then I said, "Do you want this child?" "Yes," he said right away. "But that day in your office." "Okay," I freaked out. "It was a big surprise when you came and told me you were pregnant with my child. I really panicked, and I'm sorry for that. But after you went, I looked over the ultrasound findings and understood I had made a mistake." I answered gently, "I understand. You forgive me?" "Maybe," he smiled a little. "It's okay if you don't forgive me. I want you to stay here with me, though." I hummed and nodded. "Good night," he said softly. I said back, "Good night." Sophie's point of view: when I woke up, Liam wasn't there. His duvet was already folded, and his pillow was carefully placed back on the bed. I got up in the morning and performed my morning ritual. Then, I walked downstairs for breakfast. Helen put a dish of food in front of me, and I ate. A few minutes later, Liam came in wearing jeans and a t-shirt. "Breakfast?" Helen asked him nicely. "No need," he said in a harsh way. "Why?" he said in the same tone, "Not that hungry." I felt awful for Helen, but she didn't seem to care. He passed by her and opened the fridge. He took out 2 slices of bread and scowled because he couldn't locate what he was searching for. "Where the hell is the butter?" He slammed the refrigerator door shut and muttered in a voice that was both angry and annoyed. Helen gave him the box of butter that was on the counter. "It's here." He made a sandwich with butter and bread and ate it while he was outside. "Geez," Helen said, rolling her eyes. "Did he not sleep well last night?" "I don't know," I responded, feeling bad about making him sleep on the floor. "Why? He is grumpy all day when he doesn't sleep well. Thank goodness he doesn't have to go to work today. Or his workers would have had a hard day," she said. And I smiled tightly at her because I didn't know what to say. She looked at me over her shoulder while she washed the dishes and said, "Don't you have to go to the restaurant today?" "No." Ali encouraged me to take a few days off and relax. She hummed back and kept washing the dishes. I gave her my empty plate and was ready to leave the kitchen when my eyesight got blurry. I blinked a few times to attempt to clear it. My mind swirled, and I felt dizzy. My legs gave out, and I fell on the floor. I heard Helen shout, "Sophie!" I put my palm on my forehead and said, "What is going on with me?" Liam came dashing into the kitchen and grimaced when he saw me on the floor. "What are you looking at?" Helen asked him what he was doing while he merely stood there. "Call a doctor." "No, I'm fine." I tried to stand up, but my feet wobbled. Before I could collapse, Helen grabbed my arm and supported me. Liam had already contacted the doctor. Helen frowned at him and told him to hold me. He rolled his eyes in a way that wasn't obvious. I was told not to touch her. Helen stared at me, and I smiled shyly. She rolled her eyes and helped me walk to the living room, where she had me sit on the couch. Then she gave me a glass of water, which I drank. They both remained there, looking at me and studying my face as if I had just had a heart attack. "I'm fine." "Stop looking at me like that," I replied in a frustrated voice. Helen told me to lie down on the couch, and Liam departed for who knows where. That guy doesn't care. Not that it's bothering me. I rolled my eyes at what he did and shut my eyes. I could have fallen asleep because when I opened my eyes, I saw an old guy looming over me and staring at me closely. When he saw that I was awake, he leaned back and smiled at me, and I sat up straight. Helen was at the door, and Liam was standing a little way away with his arms crossed over his chest. The doctor looked at my eyes for who knows what, drew my blood, performed a few other things, and asked me questions. Blah, blah, blah. Liam opened his hands and moved closer. "Doctor, is the baby okay?" "Of course. That's the only thing that matters to you." "Yes. The infant is okay. Her hemoglobin level is lower. When the blood test results come back, we'll know exactly how much. Make sure she gets enough iron in her food," he said. Liam nodded, and the doctor left. Helen sat next to me and admonished me, "I told you to eat right." "I'll be fine." I smiled and said, "Don't worry, Helen." After that, I went to my room, or Liam's room, as Helen had instructed me to do. I was sitting on the bed with my back against the headboard, attempting to read the book I had borrowed from Liam. It's intriguing, but I haven't been able to finish half of it yet. I wonder how someone can read a 600-page book in a day. I folded the book in half so that I only needed one hand to handle it. Liam didn't knock on the door because it was his room before he went in. I looked up from the book and saw him frowning. "What the hell?" he screams and points at the book. His shout of "What?" shocked me. He clenched his teeth and said, "Why did you fold the book like that?" I looked down at the book and then back at him. "What's wrong with it?" "First, hold it right." My hands knew what he wanted me to do faster than my head did, so I closed the book and glared at him. "I instructed you not to mess up the book in any manner. Why don't you pay attention to me?" He raised his voice, and I could feel wrath building up inside me. I rose up and tossed the book square at his face without knowing why. "Keep your book with you. I don't want it right now." The book hit him in the face, and he dropped to the floor with a bang. "I guess I shouldn't have done that." He bent down, picked up the book, and looked at it. His jaw clenched even more as he noticed that a page was ripped at the corner. He took a long breath and gently put the book down on the bed. When he raised his head and stared right into my eyes, I was afraid. His eyes seemed like they wanted to kill me. As he stepped towards me, I reflexively stepped back. This went on till my back hit a door that led to a little store area or something. He kept his distance from me and stared at me without saying a word. I reached for the doorknob with my hands, turned it, and opened the door. I then walked back into the storeroom to get away from him. He moved forward, forcing me to walk farther into the room. Then he smirked slightly. He left the room and shut the door behind him in a second. I was shocked when I noticed he had just locked me in there, and I hammered on the door. "Liam, open the door." He didn't say anything, but I could hear his footsteps getting quieter as he left the room. He really locked me up here? For what? For ruining his book? He's insane. I banged on the door a few more times, but nothing happened. He will pay for this. I looked around the dimly lit room and saw a few boxes lying around. They had stacks of A4-sized papers in them, some of which were old and used. There were also some files and a few other things. I saw something when I walked around the room. There was a door, but it wasn't the one I came through. There were some boxes placed in front of it. I took the boxes off the door and looked at it, wondering where it led. When I twisted the handle, it opened. He is particularly bad at keeping people inside. For God's sake, there's another door here that isn't locked. He would be a terrible kidnapper. I opened the door all the way and saw that it went to his study and library. I laughed and got away in 2 minutes. I strolled up to his desk and saw the paper there. It was a drawing of a room, namely a nursery. Is he an architect? And someone tells him that I'm just a month pregnant. He's already making plans for the nursery. I took up the paper and put it in a drawer. It's too nice to throw away. I chuckled as I looked around the library. He is going to wish he had locked me in there. I leaned on his desk with my arms crossed and faced the door 15 minutes later. I heard Dad yell for me, "Sophie," so he must have opened the door to the storeroom. Then he unlocked the door to the study and stepped in. His eyes fell on me immediately. "Hi," I said with a stiff smile. His gaze moved across the room, getting wider as he took in the state of his study. He took all of his books off the shelves and threw them on the floor, where they were in horrible shape. There were also a lot of paper planes on the floor and on his desk. His jaw was hard, his hands were in tight fists, and his eyes were getting darker with rage. And to my amazement, his eyes filled with tears. He couldn't be sobbing for his books, could he? This might not have been a smart idea. "Get out," he said in a voice that was icy and piercing enough to make me tremble. He closed his eyes. I was scared of his tone and was about to say something when he opened his eyes. "Get out, Sophie," he said between tight teeth, trying not to murder me. "Now." So I fled away from there to avoid his anger. I really made him mad. Liam's point of view, I don't like her. No one has ever touched my books in all these years, yet it only took her a few days to make a mess in my library. I don't allow anyone to borrow my books or touch them. I'm quite protective of them. I don't even know why I let her borrow the book, which was one of my favorites, and she ripped it up. I scratched my temples as I looked at the books and paper planes strewn over the floor. First, I scribbled a caution on a clean, new piece of paper. A caution for Miss Sophie Spencer: from now on, you are not allowed to visit my study. If I catch you here, you won't like what happens. If you ever touch my books again, I swear to make your life a living nightmare. Liam, I wrote the warning on a piece of paper and then taped it to the door. Then I proceeded to carefully take up each book one at a time and put it back on the shelf exactly where it had been before. It took me an hour to put the books back in their right places and pick up the paper aircraft. I kept my desk tidy by putting everything back in its right location. I let out a sigh of relief after cleaning up the mess. Someone knocked on the door in a steady rhythm, and I knew it was Sophie since Helen doesn't knock like that. What does she want now? I opened the door a little and looked at her. She smiled shyly as I glanced at her coldly. "Hi," she said softly. "Can't you see the warning?" I pointed to the notice I had put on the door. She rolled her eyes and said, "I did. I simply wanted to say I'm sorry for what I did." "I'm sorry. Your apologies have been turned down. Have a nice day, Miss Spencer." I shut the door in her face and heard her curse under her breath. "You can't trust her at all." I walked down the stairs to the front door, fixing my tie. I didn't have breakfast because I didn't want to see her face. I've been avoiding her since yesterday. The doorbell rang just as I was about to open the door. I wondered who it might be and opened the door. All the color went from my cheeks. "Mother?" I stammered when I saw my mother waiting at the entrance, looking as happy as ever. She opened her lips to say something, but I slammed the door right away. "What the hell? What is she doing here? Did Helen instruct her to come?" "Liam." Mother knocked on the door. "What does this mean? Let me in." I answered the door and put on a phony smile. "Mother. It's very nice to see you." She scowled and crossed her arms. "Why did you close the door on me?" "Did I?" I laughed uncomfortably. "I thought I could be dreaming when I closed the door because I couldn't believe you were here." I whispered to myself, "Unfortunately, it isn't." "Are you okay?" she asked. "Of course, Mom. By the way, why are you here? Please let me in first." "Sure," I said under my breath as I stepped aside to let her in. "God, please don't let her see Sophie. I'm so doomed." She looked about the home as if she were seeking a threat. Mom. You must know that it's Monday and I am going to work. Why did you come?" "I wanted to see my son. Is it not okay for me to?" She squinted her eyes. "Oh. Okay. Oh my God," she said. "Allie is pregnant. Did you hear that?" "Yes, I did. Brother told me." "I am so happy, Liam," she said with a big smile. Join our Facebook and WhatsApp group for more updates, link is given in description. Rest audiobook will be continued in next episode.